As I look ahead to the new year, I've started to make what I call like my end of the year assessments. It's a really stupid term for just me reflecting on my year. I know some people do it. I know a whole lot of people do not do this. It sounds kind of dumb. I imagine just, I'm going to reflect upon my year. I'm going to sit down and contemplate. But I find that, especially for people that tend to work in creative fields, this can be actually really helpful. A lot of the creative process, as you've seen me on this channel talk about countless times, there's a lot of self-doubt. There's a lot of room for thinking that you are a failure, that you haven't achieved anything, etc. And one of the things that can kind of help that is to look back on your year and actually see what you've accomplished, actually looking at things that you tangibly were able to accomplish. And you'll be surprised if you take a few minutes to reflect upon it. You'll realize that you've you realize that you have achieved quite a bit. Even myself, I was actually a bit surprised what I was able to get done this year. And I've been saying before, this is kind of 2022 was potentially maybe one of the best years of my life, to be honest. Maybe I'll do a separate video going over that. But if you follow on the channel, you know about my sabbatical. That was very cliche, but that definitely was a life-changing thing. And with the channel here and with finally getting, probably as far as I've ever gotten with my writing, as far as like skill and all that stuff, it's been a good year. But when I look back on my year, I also tend to look at things that worked and things that didn't work, habits that helped and habits and sort of things that have not helped. And so going into the stuff that's worked, obviously, I'll do a separate video maybe on that. It's later, a little bit, maybe in a couple weeks or, a few days, whatever, basically about things that have worked. Obviously, writing every day has been, I think, the main thing as far as the writing goes. But more broadly, when I look at what I have kind of pulled off and when I look at things that have not worked, year over year, I come back to the same issue. And it's one I've never been able to quite find a solution for. And it is the problem of the wishy-washy friends. I will say it that way. And what I'm talking about are the friends and the associates and even the family members, right, that are not against you doing something, right? Not the ones that are like the naysayers. I've talked about before with the writing, with, this writing channel, right? How, if you have like the naysayers in your life that tell you can't do this. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the ones that don't really care either way. The ones that maybe take up your time, with some of, the ones basically that are always kind and nice to you, and they really are in very general sense your friends. They're not these two-faced people. I'm not referring to that. But ones that aren't always going to be backing you, right? The ones that when you have the big event, they're not always going to show up for, if you're an actress, right, or an actor, right, they're not going to show up for your shows, right, or your recitals. They're not going to be the ones that, I'm a writer, right? They're not going to be the ones that are going to show up to your readings. If you have a reading maybe at like a local theater or something like that, they're not going to be the ones that are going to be showing up to applaud you and watch, right? They're not the ones that are going to go out of their way to kind of be there for you during the bigger moments of your life. And yet they still are very nice people and very pleasant, and you still find, times to hang out with them and all this. And I've always wondered where that falls on the line. Year over year, I confront this issue. I make a note of it to be like, find out how to handle the situation of the wishy-washy friends. Because I have one camp of people that I know that have told me, and these are people that have been very, very successful, who will say, hey, get on the train, right? Or get off the tracks. They will say, basically, if the people in your life do not support you outright in everything that you're doing, especially the big things in your life, like if they're not supporting on these big things, then they're not on the train, and that means they're on the tracks, and you need to run them over. Like, your success of the train, run them over. You're either on the train with you or they're getting run over, right? That's one extreme in a sense, right? Kind of kick them out of your life, remove them from your life, whatever. If they aren't backing you, if they're not being all in to kind of help you and to reinforce what you're doing. And then there's the other side that will say something to the effect of compartmentalize, right? That's fine. It's okay to have people in your life that maybe aren't going to go out of their way to be supportive of you when it comes to these endeavors. But know where they fit into your life. Compartmentalize, right? Don't go out of the way to make, acquiescences for them, right? If there's a big event they need you to come to and it conflicts with your writing or your schedule or gets in the way for your projects, no. Say no to them, put your projects first, right? Don't, if they're going to be friends of somewhat convenience, then see them when it's convenient for you as well. Keep them around, have them as your friend because they are nice people and you get along and all that stuff, but know the dynamics and know where that relationship lies and know the extent of it. That's what I've seen from the other camp. And to be truthful, when it comes to that tends to be where I put most of my, the wishy-washy type of friends that I have in my life, right? The ones that sort of fall into that camp, that's where I tend to kind of put them. I tend to compartmentalize. I tend to put them in sort of that part of my life. I don't know if that's the right answer, though. I don't know if that is the best way to deal with a situation. And so I'm sort of throwing this out there more so for those that are kind of pursuing their own creative projects. And I'd be interested to get someone else's take on this to see how they sort of view that. Do they go with the all or nothing? Hey, you're, on the train with me or you're getting run over, or can you do that? Or is there room to compartmentalize? Is there room to have people that are sort of in that kind of state of flux, where, they're not really going to be there for you for everything basically, but just understand that's fine. Be there, at times when it's convenient for both of you and leave the relationship at that level. It's definitely something I've struggled with. Like I said, it seems like every year I go over this. Every single year. For the past couple of years now, I have it written down on like my yearly goal thing of like review. I always say, reassess how you want to deal with wishy-washy friends and figure out the answer. And to this day, I still have not. So I happened to see that today when I was going through kind of my end of the year thing here, and figured I'd throw it out there. I figured I'd throw it out for those that are watching the video, maybe get their opinion on this if they want to offer kind of their thoughts on it. Definitely never a wrong answer, and it might be helping. It might help me. I feel in some ways like what I'm doing now with that compartmentalization seems to be the best way to handle it. But maybe that's what's holding me back. Perhaps that is what holds me back. Because the people in the other camp that will say, get on the train or get run over, right? They're either with you 100% or they're not with you at all. The people in that camp will say, no, you need to focus and be all in on your activities. And the people in your life that are not helping you, what they're doing is they're detracting. They're taking your energy and your time away from these projects. They are setting you back, and unfortunately, you're just not realizing it. Me as the kind of the schmuck, if you will, does not realize that, right? I don't realize how much effort and time I give to these people and how much it takes away from my pursuits there. That's kind of what the argument I imagined that they would pose to me in favor of going that all or nothing position. I don't know if it's right. I don't know, and yeah, it's something that has plagued me for years. So, any thoughts? Please share them because I would love to hear it.